guest here for the first time, don't worry, we won't bite you, I promise. At the same time, I think you're going to discover some things that could enlighten your relationships and your business, and that's really what Successful Thinkers is about. I did a talk several months ago. It's called On Purpose, With a Purpose, For a Purpose, and it really kind of defines what Successful Thinkers is all about. You know, when I launched Successful Thinkers, it was on purpose, right? Because I wanted to really help people, and the first thought that came to my mind was, if I could help people, you know, help themselves, whether it's through personal development or discovering things that could enhance their businesses. And then that was for a purpose. With a purpose was to create places like this where you can come together, meet people, create that know, like, and trust, and actually create business, right? Well, for a purpose was designed specifically so that we can actually give back to our local community. And now with everything that's going on with the internet, I mean, what's happening? Think about it. We're all going, not all of us, but most of us are going online and we're making purchases in somewhere else in the country, if not somewhere else in the world, because the internet has brought everything home to us, right? Well, the challenge with that is that when you do business online, you're giving your money to another community somewhere else, rather than rotating that money where you live. And this is so important because if you think about what's happened just in the last little bit of time because of the internet, and this is a positive and a negative, we're able to do transactions online. The negative is that our communities are being impacted in a negative way because we need those tax dollars, not just the dollars that come to us, but the tax dollars that help run our government. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm not for government, but it is what it is, right? We got to have it, okay? So when I say that, I'm saying, look, I mean, the roads, the streets, all the things that need to take place so that we can live in a comfortable environment. Does that make sense? At the same time, when we spend money online and we spend it out of our city, that means the money that could have come to somebody else to pay their rent, their mortgage, their car payments, their insurances, go to the restaurants like this, all the things that happen can't happen if the money's going outside. Does that make sense? So when you look at the impact of actually giving back to our local communities by helping business owners locally, we're actually doing something positive. Does that make sense? So that was the reason for On Purpose, With a Purpose, For a Purpose, to make an impact. And I also believe that, and I don't know if you know this, but over 2,700 post offices shut down last year in the United States because the small communities that they were in were not developing enough cash flow revenue to actually support the 1 or 2 or 3 employees that were in those small post offices. And that's pretty tragic when you think about it. Because that's something you and I have kind of grown up with. The post office has always been here. May not be a stagecoach anymore, but it's certainly here. So with that said, I believe the Successful Thinkers is going to have an impact both nationally and internationally. And, you know, we talk about if we can grow our community, we can grow our state, then we can grow our nation, right? Well, there's so many different purposes to Successful Thinkers. And, you know, I kind of gave you my flyby version of it, but I also believe that if we're success-minded people, and that's why we use the word successful thinkers, right? In fact, I'll never forget the first time I asked somebody, or actually they asked me, what do I do for a living? And, of course, I never tell anybody what I do for a living. I always say successful thinkers, right? Anyway. So when the first time this happened, this gal said to me, so what do you do for a living? I said, well, we're successful thinkers. And she goes, well, I'm a successful thinker. And she didn't even know what it was. And I go, that's right, you are. Because if you think you are, right? You are what you believe in your mind. And then I began to discover as I traveled around the country that actually a lot of people believe that in their mind. So we're the perfect home for a successful thinking person, right? Well, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go over what I call the 9 steps to success. In order to be successful, whether in a corporate job, just a regular job, being a successful entrepreneur, whatever it is that you do, you have to have steps for success. Otherwise, you don't just fall into success. And if you think you do, I want to know your recipe because I've never fallen into success, ever. All right? So over the years, I've practiced things and taught things that have helped me and helped other people get to a level of success in their career, whatever it is, whether in management, sales, business, whatever it is that they do. So the first thing, and I will go fast, I promise you, because some of you have heard this before, but here's the thing, redundancy is important. Would you agree? Sometimes you got to be beat over the head a few times to go, okay. But the first thing is why? Why do you wake up in the morning? What's your dream? What's the things going to motivate you to do the things that you do not want to do? And unfortunately, we need to be motivated to do things we don't want to do. That's just the way it is. I mean, I can't imagine waking up in the morning going, I don't want to do it, right? No, you got to be motivated to do it, okay? And I don't mean put out the trash. Always be a student. I thought when I left college I was done with being a student, but no, life is all about learning. Whether it's learning how to develop yourself, your business, relationships, all the things that are essential to growing your business. The next one is always read. And I learned this literally 30 years ago. Readers are leaders and leaders are readers, okay? I never wanted to read again after I left school. But you know what? I've read more in the last 30 years of my life that have really educated me. And it's funny when something comes out of my mouth, I go, where'd that come from? That was good. It probably came from a book, you know? So, you know, it's powerful to have knowledge, and knowledge will help you influence other people to see your way of thinking. And that's kind of important, right? Because you're in business and you want to encourage them to buy your product or whatever it is that you're doing. We have a thing, and I know some of you are going, well, when are you going to launch this thing? You're going to get it when it's time, okay? I believe that you need to listen to stories of other people that have gone through the trials and tribulations of life. Because when you can relate to somebody else's struggle, whether it's worse than yours or somewhere similar to yours, it encourages you to keep going. And I can't tell you how many times I've cried by listening to other people's stories. And so we actually have a boatload of these ready to go. We will do this in time, and we'll make these available to you. We want to encourage you to be on a regular basis, listen to other people's stories to encourage yourself. And you can refer people to listen to these stories. Always be positive and edify. Like Robert said, he said, you got to be happy, right? So what kind of environment would this be if everybody had a sad face on their a sad look on their face, right? It's like, I ain't coming back to Successful Thinkers. These guys they're down and out, man. No, we're upbeat. And in fact, when you think about getting around people in this group, because we encourage people to be edifiable and encourage people to edify other people and be positive, well, that's a nice environment to be a part of. It's kind of funny when you step out of Successful Thinkers, because I can't go to all the chapters. It's physically, humanly impossible. And I'll go to a chapter and the people are smiling and they're happy and blah, 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 and they come back and they keep coming back and they keep coming back and they keep coming back. It's like, why do they do that? Is it just about the business? No, it's also about the relationships and the energy and the synergy that coexists inside these rooms. You see what I'm saying? And so it's a great place to be, and it's a great place to give. The next one is always invite. You know, Successful Thinkers has totally been built on what we call the pay it forward. That means that nobody makes any money that works for Successful Thinkers. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, that all do what you do for Successful Thinkers, and those of you that refer. But this is important, because as you tell other people about Successful Thinkers, it not only rewards them, because you're blessing them. They get to be around people that will impact their life. And I can tell you, I've heard some crazy stories that have just really made me want to cry because of what happened at some of these events, where somebody came that wasn't going to come, but the person dragged them there, and literally that day they were going to commit suicide. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not saying this to just encourage you. I'm saying that people are lonely out there. And you've got to get out of your box and get around people. That is what's important. And if you can get around people that put a smile on your face and they feed you and they fill you up, then it gives you that courage to keep going, that fuel that makes a difference in your life. And so they can bless other people too. And you all know what I'm talking about. So invite. Get recognized. This is important. What we like to do is we like to recognize the people that invite the guests. Why? Well, this is important because this is how we grow. But also, I'm going to tell you something. Credibility comes from those who make a difference. It's not being in learning and personally growing, but also when you impact the lives of other people and you invite them to our community, well, then we want the rest of the people to know who you are. Because you're actually not only blessing the person you invited, you're blessing everybody else that's here. Let me explain. Without you, we don't have a new prospect. Now, think about it. So everybody should be rewarded based on what they do to provide the growth of Successful Thinkers. That's our whole concept. We want to reward you based on what you give to us. Now, we live in a world of give and take, and most people would rather take than give. But Successful Thinkers invites and encourages and develops and creates a group of people that actually believe in helping others. That's what we're based on. And so we like attracting those kind of people. And the other ones who like to take, they actually can't make it in here because they can't stand all the positive. It's really actually quite funny. And if they can get through the positive, they keep coming back. I love it. And then number 8, always show up. You know, you can have in your calendar to go somewhere and say, I don't feel like going. It's just successful thinkers. I'm going to tell you something, man. I can bet you if we went around this room, you'd get some positive feedback on this. Some people, including myself, we're not going to go to an event. You know, because I might go to one event a week. And there are times I'm so busy being busy that I don't want to go, and so I won't go, right? Well, no. What I found, if I send my calendar, I go. I don't even think about it, because that's how I live. I live my life through my calendar. And I've gone to events, quite frankly, that had I not gone, it basically turned my whole day around, turned my head around, my thinking, my negative attitude back into a positive attitude. And it was just because I walked in a room where the energy was right, people were positive, people were talking to me about how excited they were about whatever, and it affected me in a positive way. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't encourage you enough to actually show up. Because not only are you impacting the lives of people you will meet, they're going to impact your life too. And then finally, always set one-on-ones. And I will briefly tell you what a one-on-one is. This is step number 9, because you can't grow your business without clients, right? But through a one-on-one, we talk about the know, like, and trust. So you get to know people so that they can like you and hopefully trust that you're the right person to do business with. But in a one-on-one, it's different. As you've heard already, that we don't actually say, okay, hand out your business cards, do your elevator pitch. What we say is don't hand out your business cards and don't do your elevator pitch. Wait till you do a one-on-one and get to know that person or people, and then kind of feed it in. Let me tell you how a one-on-one would go. It's really simple. If I sat down with you, I would not immediately go, oh, by the way, I do this, and that, and you would be great for it, and I'd love to have you as my partner or my client or customer or whatever. But instead, what I'm going to say is, so, you from around here? What do you do? How long have you been doing it? You have kids? You married? Do you like the community? Whatever would be kind of typical if you're at a party. At a party, do you like pull out your real estate business card and say, hey, you know, like how weird would that be? I mean, you'd probably chase people away, right? Think of it this way. Would you like to have people like you enough to buy from you and refer you? Then you better get them to like you. And you don't get them to like you by cramming your business down their throat in the first 2 minutes. So the way you do it's real simple. Spend the time asking questions and listening to their responses. Seriously. That's the main gist of what a one-on-one is. I don't have a lot of time to teach on it. I actually put together, like, I don't know how many, like 6 or 7 or 8, like 1 to 2 minute videos that actually explain the process. But at the end of the day, you have 2 things will come out of your meeting with people. Either number 1, have you ever walked away from someone that said, oh God, I'm so glad to be away from them? Number 2, have you ever walked away from somebody who said, wow, I like that person? You want to know the significant difference between the 2? One talked about themselves, and the other one asked questions about you and listened. That is significant, what I just said. And you learn how to master that, you will create more relationships, more business, more referrals than you can absolutely do on your own. And here's the key. If you're in a networking group, who's pushing your business? You are. If you're in Successful Thinkers and you're developing true relationships, now all of a sudden you have multiple mouthpieces going out saying, oh, you need somebody to fix your window? I know a perfect guy, Mark Ayers. You know, you need somebody to do DJ work? I know Greg Dills. You know, you need somebody to do different things, social media work or whatever it is that you're looking for? I know the guy or gal. And there's no better recommendation than somebody who actually believes in that person. That's the best endorsement, right? So I'm going to leave you with this, because I don't know if I'm done or not. Where's my boss? Oh, Louise is there. Okay. I can talk a lot. Can you tell? Can you imagine? I was the guy, totally shy. I mean, completely. I mean, my dad and I were partners, and my dad was the salesman for our remodel company. And my dad got 50% of all the money, and he didn't do any of the work. And he was always in his glory when he was talking to the customers. I thought there was something wrong with this picture. I'm working my tail off. I'm always full of dust, and I'm working super hard. And I go, Dad, there's something wrong with this. You make half the money. I'm doing all the physical work. He goes, yeah, but without me, you wouldn't have the job. And I didn't like it, and we actually fought really bad. And he finally just said, go get your own general contractor's license and do it yourself. Well, after a few years of doing it myself, I go, hey, Dad, you want to partner with me? Because I realized how important, you know, he was to my business in the beginning. Of course, I was successful without him, but there was a a significant learning lesson in that relationship with my father when he was doing all the sales and creating the relationships and the trust before they met me. And I did the cabinetry and the remodel work and so on and so forth. But life has a lot of lessons in it. And I believe that if we learn from those lessons and we take those lessons to heart, we can impact a lot of people's lives. You know, we have young entrepreneurs here. We've got, there's at least 3 of them in this room here that want to make an impact on the community with other young men and women to help them to believe that they can be more successful or they can go after their dreams, chase their dreams. There's a lot of us in this room here that we have a dream. Some of our dreams are not as big as others, but you know, our dream is as big as it needs to be. But I want to encourage you to not back off, not let whatever, if somebody blames the economy or relationships that might cause you to back off to be better. I just want to say that, you know, you make that decision. There's a lot of people out there that are looking for a support team. When you do one-on-ones with successful thinkers, 5 things come out of it. The first one is you will find somebody that might become a client or customer. The second thing that will come out of it is you might find somebody that will refer you and your business or product or service. The third thing that will come out of it is you might find somebody that might become a business partner of yours. The fourth and fifth, which I find the most important, is that when you do a one-on-one, because you are in business for yourself, and most of us know that we're in business by ourselves. With successful thinkers, is you create the relationships by doing one-on-ones and people get to know you, like you, and trust you. You find people that actually want to become your cheerleader, your fan, somebody who cares about you, that they want to know how's it going, and it's safe for you to tell them. And that's important, because I don't know how many of you, sometimes you feel it's really lonely out there. You haven't had that connection, and you have nobody to really talk to and tell them, you know, how it's going, good or bad. Well, you're going to discover there's some people here that really care about you. But you've got to do those one-on-ones to find them. And then finally, number 5, is that I promise you this, if you really do enough one-on-ones, you'll not only get the referrals and all the other things, but there'll be people that you connect with that you won't be able to connect to them but through a surface relationship. But by doing the one-on-ones and truly getting to their heart, you might find a synergy that says, I'd like to be your accountability partner and hold you accountable to your dreams and your goals. And I believe that Successful Thinkers is the only neutral organization in the world that is created with that in mind. We're not in the same business. We may not profit off of each other. But if I can help you to help yourself, isn't that a win-win? Well, that's what we're about. And thank you for letting me share.